Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and highest honors to Yahweh, which is the name of the Heavenly Father, Paleo Ancient Hebrew, to Yahweh Shai, the one you ignorantly call Jesus Christ. His name is Paleo Ancient Hebrew. Double honors to the Apostle Elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Salutations to you few brothers that preach, teach, and prophesy this word in truth and sincerity. So we put our lives on the line in these last days to bring you this raw and this uncut truth. It's the brother Ariago from the Grand Rapids, Michigan camp, here with another nifty lesson. And for you few brothers and sisters of the hopeful elect, I bid you shalom. Let's get into it. As you know, the situation that popped off in Venezuela the other night or early in the morning, basically Nicolas Maduro and his wife were taken from their homes during this attack on Venezuela. And they were extradited to the United States to stand trial for drug trafficking, whatever other bullshit charges that America puts against them. What we seen is shit that you do to another country. If you have some kind of active war pact, like you're seeing a lot of familiarities with how they treat these situations, because what the U.S. government does is they make these preparations beforehand. See, this whole situation in Venezuela was years in the making, and now the truth is coming out. All right, it wasn't just about what didn't have shit to do with any drug trafficking. All right, that was just a patsy, the excuse to go in. No, it wasn't about Nicolas Maduro being a drug kingpin or something. It had nothing to do with that. What it was about this oil and the large amount of silver mine, the silver mines on Zambia. Zambia. I forgot the name. But regardless of the matter. I'm sorry. On Venezuela, I said Zambia. Damn. But you know, that's a lot of money. It's 12% of the world's silver coming from this mine. All right, and we know that America is not going in because they give a damn about the people. They give a damn about the resources, because we move closer to the third world war. Every little bit of resource that you have is an economic advantage to your enemies. All right, let's get into it. So this is the initial attack, right? All right, so that was a surgical strike. Wasn't a lot of casualties and thousands of soldiers that moved in. I said this was a planned surgical strike, and they went in and they utilized that to kidnap Maduro and his wife. Now, is he still a dictator with issues? Of course. So if you go through Venezuela, a lot of people are cheering and they're happy, right? Because Venezuela is all jacked up, especially since Hugo Chavez was killed. All right, and I say killed because they used cancer to take him out. Anybody that's about to move and turn your money into a gold standard because you have a large amount of resources in your country somehow end up dead like Gaddafi and shit. Anyway, um, so this was the initial strike, right? And the reasoning behind it was crude oil and silver. All right. If you don't remember anything else, remember that. That's what it was for. Okay. In preparation for this third world war that's about to pop off. Like it's a real business, you know. And you have little people that's taking this as a joke, but when it catches up with them, all of that smiling and laughing, that shit disappears real quick when reality sets in. All right. Now, this is just the beginning of many, many atrocities. Right? Okay. Es el petróleo venezolano. Son las tierras. Now, this is the Cuban president, as you can see, after, the situation that transpired. And this is how you feel about what Trump did. Es el petróleo venezolano. Son las tierras y los recursos naturales de Venezuela. No, señores imperialistas. Este no es su patio trasero ni territorio en disputa. No aceptamos ni reconocemos la doctrina Monroe, ni reyes ni emperadores trasnochados por Venezuela y por supuesto también por Cuba. Estamos dispuestos a dar ni reyes ni emperadores trasnochados. Conocemos la doctrina Monroe, ni reyes. Like he says right there, he says we don't accept moral laws. What does it say? No aceptamos. We don't accept nor recognize moral doctrine. Moral. I don't think it's white. I'm not sure. I will have to look that word up. But nonetheless, he's going ham. All right, let's keep going. My bad. Reconocemos la doctrina Monroe. Ni reyes ni emperadores trasnochados por Venezuela y por supuesto también por Cuba. Estamos dispuestos a dar hasta nuestra propia sangre, hasta nuestra propia vida para un precio americano. No son tiempos de medias tintas. He said, but at a high price. These aren't times of half truths. That's right. They're a time of definition. A definition. Y de tomar partido frente al fascismo y la barbarie imperial. ¡Abajo el imperialismo! ¡Abajo el imperialismo! ¡Abajo el imperialismo! Es el petróleo venezolano. Hey, so you see, Latin countries they're getting fed up just like the rest of these other countries, man. They're really getting fed up with America and Israel. There's just a lot going on at once. And all of this stuff has to happen because one of the main things that everybody is preparing for is we stockpile large amounts of precious metals and minerals in preparation for the Great Reset. Right now, what they're doing is they're doing away with the American dollar. That shit is basically lost its foothold in the vast majority of countries. And it's dying as we speak. But when it comes down to it, silver has gone up tremendously. The spot on silver has gone up tremendously in the past 3 weeks or so, right? Spot on silver is crazy, all right? And I just watched China Insider, I think it was, and they showed how China was basically out there getting that silver, dog. They was out there moving and hustling that motherfucking silver, dog. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because it's so expensive now, right? And this is also one of the reasons why, main reasons why, outside of just the resources and stuff, This was the straw that broke the camel's back right here.
Esos judíos de las 12 tribus, que no son los que mandan hoy en el Estado de Israel.
Let's go ahead and mute this. All right. State of Israel, those who govern today, Netanyahu is not an authentic Jew. He is a scoundrel who comes from Poland. For those who like to talk and say that he is a religious conflict, this is not a religious conflict. The conflict that exists since the foundation of the state of Israel is a geopolitical conflict, because the state was created to conquer the entire Middle East and Central Asia away from the riches and colonize their, their properties. If the Zionist project, hold on, colonize their people, those peoples, and the Zionist project that they say goes from the Jordan River to the Euphrates and beyond. All right, so remember, he busted them out. He said that they are not the real Jews. Okay, so Nicholas Maduro, hey, that was all she wrote after that. Hey, and they was on his head, even though this was, I'm pretty sure, years in the making. I mean, they was on Nicholas Maduro's head for that. This is Matthew 2. Two and 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So the end is not yet. But we right here at the gates. Okay? And those gates are damn near wide open. All right. Let's keep going real quick. Now check this out. This is just some great information I want to bring out concerning what took place with the silvers. All right, let's go.
You don't move mining equipment that fast. You don't move mining equipment in the dark. You don't move mining equipment with military.
Also, fair use. Fair use. Matter of fact, let's do this. Let us. Damn. It look like, oh yeah, he's a black man now. Fair use. No. All right. Let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say. Some excellent information. I think you should check him out. The inside the brief. Okay. Check this out.
Precision and zero documentation trails. But you do move silver that way. You do move precious metals that way when you're trying to evacuate strategic reserves before a crisis hits. 847 tons of mining equipment. Let me put that in perspective for you. 847 tons is approximately 27 million troy ounces of refined silver. That's roughly 15% of Venezuela's entire annual silver production. That's more silver than most countries produce in 2 years, loaded onto planes in the dark, 6 hours before the mines went offline. But here's where the story gets really dark. Those 847 tons weren't random numbers pulled from thin air. Our analysis of Venezuelan silver production data shows that 847 tons represents the exact amount of refined silver that should have been sitting in Venezuelan central bank vaults as strategic reserves. Every sovereign nation keeps strategic metal reserves: gold, silver, platinum, insurance policies against currency collapse, emergency assets that can be liquidated in times of crisis. Venezuela's strategic silver reserve was estimated at 850 tons as of December of 2024. 3 tons remained in the vaults. 847 tons departed on those flights. This wasn't an evacuation of mining equipment. This was the complete liquidation of Venezuela's sovereign silver reserves. This is where the timeline stops making sense. 2:47 a.m. 3 aircraft begin loading operations at Simon Bolivar International 3:15 a.m. Venezuelan military.
All right, and he goes into all of the proof that you need to hear to be able to follow the breadcrumb trail to know that it was America, and they basically took the silver.
Much about. This brings us to the planes, because those 3 cargo flights weren't the only metal moving that night. And they weren't the only flights that had inside information about the timeline. Flight tracking data shows a pattern that should terrify anyone who understands how the silver market actually works. Between midnight and 6 a.m. Caracas time, 11 aircraft departed Venezuelan airspace. Not 3, 11. Let me break down these flights for you because each one tells part of the story. Flights 1-3, the obvious ones. Simon Bolivar to Miami International. The decoy flights. The ones they wanted us to see. The ones carrying some silver but not the main cargo. Flights 4-5. Departed from Maracaibo International. Destination, Panama City. These flights carried Venezuelan oil executives and their families. Emergency evacuation of key personnel before the crisis hit. Flights 6-7.
I remember that same shit happened to the Bin Laden family and all of them. They was flown out to the U.S., before they showed how them and a lot of their family was flown out to the U.S. on these, very expensive planes and shit by the U.S., taken out of the Middle East before they had the whole, right before they had the September 11th, um, you know, attack, which was really, the U.S. government that did the shit. But regardless, let's keep going.
Departed from Puerto Ordaz, private airfield. No civilian traffic control. These flights carried mining equipment. Real mining equipment this time. Specialized extraction machinery worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But here's where it gets really interesting. Flights 8-9, Russian registration. Antonov An-124 cargo planes. The kind of aircraft you use when you need to move something very heavy, very far, very quietly. Departure point. Canaima National Park. A national park with no airports, no landing strips, no infrastructure for heavy cargo aircraft. Except there is infrastructure, secret infrastructure, military infrastructure that doesn't appear on civilian maps, underground storage facilities connected to the Venezuelan silver mining network, storage facilities that have been accumulating refined silver for years. These Russian flights didn't just carry silver. They carried the accumulated production of Venezuelan mines that had been diverted from international markets for the past 18 months. Silver that should have been sold to industrial users. Silver that should have been available to the global supply chain. Silver that was instead stockpiled in underground facilities waiting for this exact moment. How much silver? Our estimates, based on cargo weight and aircraft capacity, suggest these two flights carried approximately 1,200 tons of refined silver. That's 38 million ounces.
God damn, 38 million ounces of silver. Now, if you stop and you look at the construction of all these EV cars and everything is moving into fiber optic channels and cables and, AI and the use of this silver is going up in these computer chips and batteries and these electric cars. And you know what I'm saying? This is what it's all about. The fun, what's about to take place, right? Which is the execution of the U.S. dollar, right?
That's more silver than Peru produces in an entire year.
Damn.
Flights 10-11. Here's where the story becomes a geopolitical nightmare. Chinese registration. Cargo aircraft operated by COSCO Shipping, the state-owned shipping conglomerate that moves strategic materials for the Chinese government. Departure point unknown, destination unknown. These flights disappeared from civilian radar immediately after takeoff.
So basically, they all looted it. Russia got a piece of it, America got a piece of that silver, and China got a piece of that silver. All right? So everybody got a piece of that in preparation for this new money system that's about to roll out.
First stop, Minsk, Belarus. Officially a refueling stop. Unofficially, a transshipment point where Venezuelan silver gets repackaged, relabeled, and distributed to final destinations across the former Soviet sphere. Second stop, Astana, Kazakhstan. The heart of the Eurasian Silver Processing Network, where raw silver gets refined into industrial products for the Chinese manufacturing sector. Final destination, Moscow. The Russian Strategic Metal Reserve Complex, underground facilities where silver joins gold, platinum, and other strategic materials in vaults that are designed to survive nuclear war. Russian involvement in Venezuelan mining isn't new. Rosneft has had contracts in the region for years. But Rosneft extracts oil. These flights originate.
You see, everybody got their hand in the cookie jar. Let's go forward a little bit.
That's 22% of total global mine production flowing into a single industrial sector. And that's solar panel manufacturing consumed 185 million ounces in 2024. That's 22% of total global mine production flowing into a single industrial sector. And that sector is growing at 35% annually. Do the math. By 2027, solar panel manufacturing alone will consume more silver than the entire world produces. Electric vehicle production consumed 61 million ounces. Traditional vehicles use about 20 grams of silver for electrical contacts and switches. Electric vehicles use 200 grams. That's a 10x increase per vehicle. Global EV production is growing at 28% annually. By 2028, the automotive sector will consume more silver than the jewelry industry. 5G infrastructure consumed 34 million ounces, but 5G is just the beginning. 6G infrastructure will require silver-based quantum computing components. Artificial intelligence data centers need silver.
In other words, they're going to require you to have an identification chip inserted in your body, all right? And all your information will be placed on it, as well as digital currency that you will use to buy and sell.
For high-frequency processing units. The technology sector's silver consumption is accelerating exponentially. Defense applications consume 28 million ounces. Military radar systems, missile guidance systems, satellite communications, electronic warfare equipment. As geopolitical tensions escalate, military demand for silver is becoming a national security priority for every major power. Medical applications consume 19 million ounces. Silver-based antimicrobial coatings for hospital equipment, silver nanoparticles for drug delivery systems, silver electrodes for diagnostic equipment. The healthcare sector's demand is recession-proof and politically protected. The deficit is real. The shortage is mathematical.
Yeah, the shortage is also man-made. This is what they do. It's got a little bit more for you.
Annual demand is now running at 1.1 billion ounces. Annual supply is falling toward 800 million ounces. The deficit is 300 million ounces and growing every year. What happened in Venezuela didn't create the crisis. It exposed it. It accelerated it. It turned a manageable supply shortage into a strategic emergency that threatens the industrial base of every developed economy.
He said it turned basically a resource into an economic emergency. Okay, a national resource. All right, into an economical emergency. That's what Esau does, though. Let's see. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. Least Satan should get an advantage of us, but we are not ignorant of his devices. This is just another device that they have established. Okay, they have a device or a evil plan established, and this is why everything seems like it's just falling into place, because this was already in the woodworks. It was on the back burner. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, we're not ignorant of what's really going on. The men of the Lord, eyes are open. We locked in on what's taking place, and we come back and we make these electronic epistles, these videos, to basically reach other of the elect, man, as we are the hopeful elect, strive forward. Let's see. This is Psalms 75:6. For promotion cometh neither from the east nor the west, nor from the south, but the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. So even though Venezuela is going down, Nicolas Maduro has been taken down, and they're setting up a U.S. a U.S. regime, most likely a female president, just like with China. I mean, not with China, just like with Japan, with their female prime minister, and they're going down the line, putting all these women in positions of great power. But if they look at the psychological effect, they'll see that they're not really built to have that type of power, let alone men of corrupt hearts. And so, at the end, what do you get? You get a demon out for resources, and he's doing anything and everything he can to get it. And they don't give a damn about who they do it to, even their own people, their own nations. All right.
Here's what the Venezuelan blackout really represents. It represents the moment when strategic actors realize that silver scarcity is now a national security issue. It represents the beginning of resource hoarding at the state level. It represents the end of the free market in strategic metals, because those planes that left Caracas, they weren't heading to random destinations. They weren't carrying cargo for profit-maximizing corporations. They were heading to countries that have been quietly accumulating silver reserves as part of strategic resource warfare against the dollar-based international monetary system. China's strategic silver reserves are classified information, but import data tells the story. In 2024, China imported 247 million ounces of silver. That's 30% of global mine production flowing into a single country. But here's the crucial detail. China's industrial silver consumption is only 180 million ounces annually. Where is the extra 67 million ounces going? Into state reserves, into strategic stockpiles, into underground facilities that are designed to survive economic warfare. And they know that when it dies, countries with strategic metal reserves, China isn't importing silver for industrial use only. China is stockpiling silver for the same reason they stockpiled gold, because they know the dollar-based monetary system is dying. And they know that when it dies,
they know that the dollar-based monetary system is dying. So what will be implemented, right? And I'll do an update on the market of beast soon. That'll be one of my next videos, because it's closer than people understand. It's already here, all right? They're just waiting for it to be made mandatory. Oops. Revelation. Oops. 13. Revelation 13 and 16. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. Salakia, and he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand and in their foreheads. And no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. That's 666. All right, you get this mark to pledge your allegiance to this society, to this kingdom, to Esau. It says, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, and the number is 600 threescore and six. And that's what they're getting all of this ready in preparation for, this big silver heist.
Countries with strategic metal reserves will have enormous advantage in the new system that replaces it. Russia's silver reserves, also classified. But Russian silver exports dropped to near zero in 2024, despite mine production remaining constant at 45 million ounces annually. Where's that metal going? Into state vaults, into strategic reserves, into the same underground storage facilities where they keep their gold. Russia understands that silver is money, real money, money that can't be printed, money that can't be sanctioned, money that maintains value when fiat currencies collapse. Every ounce of silver that Russia accumulates is an ounce that strengthens their position in economic warfare against the West. India's silver imports hit record highs every quarter. 2024 imports exceeded 270 million ounces. That's more silver than Mexico produces, more silver than Peru produces. India is vacuuming up global silver supply through every available channel. But India's silver imports aren't going to jewelry manufacturers. They're going to the Reserve Bank of India through shell companies and offshore entities. India is building strategic silver reserves as part of their de-dollarization strategy. This is the new reality. Nation states are treating silver like a strategic weapon, like uranium, like rare earth elements, like any resource that provides military and economic advantage. And the Venezuelan operation was just the opening move in a much larger game. Because here's what happens next. Here's the cascade that the Venezuelan crisis just triggered. Here's the sequence of events that will unfold over the next 18 months as
yeah, and it'll be the downfall of this system in general. Like I said, bringing in and ushering in that digital currency. All right, I'm just going to get this little piece and then we'll get the hell up out of here.
This intelligence will be applied to future operations. The next resource extraction will be faster, more They know the gaps in surveillance. They know the delays in response. They know the weaknesses in coordination. This intelligence will be applied to future operations. The next resource extraction will be faster, more efficient, more complete. The gaps in Western defenses will be exploited more effectively. We are fighting a war that we don't even know we're in. While Western governments debate inflation statistics and trade deficits, Eastern powers are systematically dismantling Western industrial capacity through resource control. But there's another layer to this operation that reveals the true scope of what we're dealing with. Because this wasn't just about testing defenses. This was about financial warfare on a scale that most people can't comprehend. Follow the money, not just the silver money, all the money. In the 72 hours surrounding the Venezuelan blackout, currency markets experienced anomalous trading patterns that have never been properly explained by financial media. The Russian ruble strengthened against the dollar by 3.2%, despite no positive economic news from Russia. The Chinese yuan gained 2.1% against the dollar, despite concerns about Chinese real estate markets. The Venezuelan bolivar, which should have collapsed during an infrastructure crisis, actually stabilized. These currency movements make no sense unless you understand that they were coordinated with the silver operation. Russia and China weren't just stealing silver, they were using the operation to attack the dollar's reserve currency status. Here's how it works. When Western countries lose access to strategic materials, they're forced to buy those materials from Eastern suppliers using Eastern currencies.
Right, and through constant use of Eastern currencies to buy these supplies, America has to use a dollar to buy Eastern currencies, and they use the Eastern currencies to buy the silver, which strengthens the yuan, the euro, the ruble, all right, and it weakens the dollar. So that very process is just a dying process of this kingdom in general. All right, hold on. All right, now check this out. Once again, this is far too convenient. All right, so this is just more proof to basically show that this was all set up. It's a hoax. I mean, it's not a hoax, but the reasoning behind it, saying that it's over drugs and stuff, is just a patsy. It's bull.
In the news that a dictator finally fell, the overseas Chinese-speaking community erupted. The timing of Maduro's capture was simply too convenient. The night before, he had met with China's special representative for Latin American affairs, Qiu Xiaoqi. For over 3 hours, they discussed their ironclad friendship and signed over 600 cooperation agreements. Just 1 hour after the meeting, the U.S. military showed up at Maduro's door. The timing couldn't have been more precise. It felt as though it had been arranged beforehand. Online users started speculating wildly, with some even asking, was the U.S. military tipped off by China right after the meeting? Or did Maduro's Huawei phone, gifted by President Xi, help pinpoint his location? Some joked that China was simply assisting the U.S. military in capturing Maduro. One netizen said, Qiu Xiaoqi must have gone there to confirm. Yes, this is indeed the real Maduro, not a body double. Then casually sent the location info. The U.S. military quickly moved in, and the net was cast perfectly, a well-coordinated operation between China and the U.S. Looking at Maduro's expression when he was captured, it clearly conveyed surprise and suspicion. Let's go through the timeline and piece this event together. On January 2nd, Chinese Special Envoy Qiu Xiaoqi met with Maduro in the Venezuelan capital, Caracas. The meeting took place at the Miraflores Palace, the presidential residence. It covered energy cooperation, trade, and over 600 cooperation agreements. Both sides emphasized their all-weather strategic partnership, marking China's continued support for Venezuela. During the meeting, Maduro and Qiu posed for photos, and the Chinese Foreign Ministry quickly released a statement emphasizing China's firm support for Venezuela's sovereignty and its opposition to.
So basically, they set them up. The U.S., China, Russia, all got a piece of that. All got a piece of those large silver reserves in preparation for this new electronic money system and AI systems and electric vehicles in general, the new wave, all right, especially for these new smart cities, which is going to require a lot of silver, all right, to make these microchips work. I wanted to show one more thing. All right, now check this rush in silver. What's going on? This was, what was the date on this? This was December 29th, right?
Take a look at what's happening in Shenzhen's Shuibei. Wow, there's so many people all rushing to grab silver. Look, They don't even have enough to go around. With so many people fighting for the silver, they're even bringing in tow trucks to haul it away. Just take a look. In recent days, the area around Shenzhen's Tuli Shui Bei Jewelry Building, China's largest hub for the gold and jewelry industry, has seen a frenzy over silver bars and silver sheets. One vlogger reported that late at night, people were still fighting for silver sheets. To clarify, in the physical silver investment and trading sector, silver sheets are often referred to as silver bars, silver bricks, silver ingots, or national standard silver sheets. These are raw materials for silver. Silver bars are investment-grade silver bars, which have been processed and are compliant, high-purity silver.
All right, and this is why they're going crazy for that over in China right now. Okay, and Americans still don't even realize what the hell is going on. And, the average American does not know what the fuck is going on with the silver prices, and nor do they give a damn because they're distracted. Now I want to show you this because this is why you gotta be careful, right?
A netizen showed a silver bar bought online. When heated on a gas stove, the internal tin melted and sprayed out like a fountain. One user jokingly said, "Your silver bar is full
Fair use, fair use.
of tin." Others suggested it could be zinc instead of tin. However, one person disagreed, saying, "Zinc doesn't spray that far. They usually use tin, since zinc is quite expensive. Tin has a lower melting point than silver. When there's high internal pressure, it bursts out and sprays out." In 2025, the dramatic rise in silver prices led to a surge in fake silver. Many investors were drawn to the low price 9999 fine silver bars online, only to find most of them were counterfeit, resulting in heavy losses. This user helplessly said that online silver scams are becoming more common. This is the fifth time they bought fake silver online. In a video post, the user shared that they secretly bought silver bars online without telling their husband. To their surprise, the 1,000-gram bar weighed 1,001 grams, which made them even more worried it might be fake.
Divorce time. Bitch, you did what? You went and bought some fucking fake ass over behind my back. Why you think I didn't do it? You had to sneak and do it because I wouldn't have been for it because it's some bullshit. Now you see why you shouldn't have done it. Shh.
Later, they posted a video asking for help, wondering if anyone can tell whether it's real or not. One user commented, saying it looks very likely to be fake, and the extra gram makes it even more suspicious. Another user said,
In other words, get your shit together, all right? No matter how much silver and gold you have, anyway, if the Lord ain't with you, that's your ass, all right? But fake gold and silver is floating around. Be careful what you go out here and quick to buy up and snatch up and thinking that you get a fucking deal online for 999.999 silver. And your ass is actually getting, knocked over the motherfucking head or some fucking aluminum and tin and shit, dog. Wake up. All right. So with that, I pray you were edified. Do your research, look into it. Yeah, that's what's happening. Be circumspect, get your household in order, and make the proper preparations because the third world war is coming, and so is that mark of the beast. And all these things are leading into the final chapter. That I pray you were edified. Until the next time, I bid you shalom.